Everyone, I want to ask you something. Is your pension, your house, your body, your time, maybe already being treated as someone else's plan B? You deserve to be more than someone's plan B. You deserve to be the main character in your own life. Mum, to be honest, your pension and your house are already part of our future plan. When I heard those words, it felt like my heart broke. With a sharp cracking sound. Have you ever felt like your old age has become just a number inside someone else's financial plan? Have you ever wondered if the life you've built with your own hands has quietly slipped away from you, becoming someone else's inheritance, before you've even finished living it? Hello, my name is Kim Margaret. I'm 73 years old, and I've spent half my life living in London, England. Today, I'd like to tell you the story of how I quietly left my house and my life, while my son and his family were away on holiday, and disappeared to a small seaside town, where nobody knew my name. This isn't a story about revenge. It's not about anger or bitterness. It's about something much simpler, and perhaps more frightening. It's about waking up one day, and realizing that somewhere along the way, you stopped being a person and became a function. A convenience, a resource to be managed. Before we begin, have you pressed subscribe and like? Your small bit of attention can be a big source of courage for someone like me who needs it, because telling this story, even now, makes my hands shake a little, not from regret, but from the sheer relief of finally speaking the truth. I was originally born in Masan, Korea, in a time when the country was still rebuilding itself from the ashes of war. In my early 20s, I met my husband at a small cafe near the harbor. He had served in the British Navy and was visiting Korea on leave. His name was David, and he had kind eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled. He didn't speak Korean, and I barely spoke English, but somehow we understood each other perfectly. After we got married, I followed him to London. When I landed at Heathrow Airport in the early 1970s, clutching a single suitcase, and wearing my best hanbok underneath a borrowed coat, I couldn't speak a word of English. Everything in the world felt unfamiliar. The gray skies, the cold drizzle that never seemed to stop, the tall buildings, the underground trains that rumbled beneath, the streets like mechanical dragons. Even the food tasted strange. I remember crying into my pillow that first night, wondering what on earth I had done. But David was patient. He taught me English slowly, one word at a time. Cup, tea, love, home. And slowly, painfully, I began to build a new life. In this foreign land, we had our son, Michael, 2 years after we arrived. When I held him for the first time, his tiny face scrunched up and read, I made a promise, I will give you everything. I will make sure you never feel like a foreigner in your own country. Then, in his early 50s, my husband fell ill, cancer. It happened so fast one day. He was complaining of stomach pain, and 6 months later, he was gone. I remember standing at his funeral in the rain, holding 8-year-old Michael's hand, thinking, how am I going to do this? How am I going to survive in this country without him? From that point on, I raised my only son alone. I woke up at 5 a.m. every morning to help prepare lunch at a Korean restaurant in New Malden. The owner, Mrs. Park, was kind but strict. Faster, Margaret. The lunch rush is coming. I chopped vegetables until my fingers were numb, rolled kimbap until my wrists ached. During the day, I cleaned classrooms at a local primary school, mopping floors and scrubbing toilets, while children's laughter echoed down the hallways. In the evenings, I went around houses, in residential areas doing cleaning and laundry, as a domestic helper for English families who barely looked me in the eye. My hands were always rough, cracked and red from detergent and cold water. My knees were always cold and aching. The British damp seemed to seep right into my bones. I wore the same 3 outfits in rotation, patched and repatched. I never bought myself new shoes unless the old ones had holes in the soles. Every penny I earned went into a biscuit tin hidden at the back of the kitchen cupboard. But when my son came home from school, dropped his bag by the door, and hugged me saying, "Mom," with that bright smile of his, I would think to myself, well, this kind of hardship is nothing, really. When he brought home good marks, when he was accepted to university, when he graduated, and got his first job, each of those moments made every sacrifice feel worthwhile. I saved and saved like that for 30 years. 30 years of early mornings and late nights, of aching joints and missed meals. And finally, when I was 61 years old, I bought a small 2-story terraced house on the east side of London. It wasn't much. The wallpaper was peeling, the carpet was worn, and the boiler made strange clanking noises. But it was mine. The mortgage was long, stretching out for 15 years. But having a house in my own name, seeing my name on the title deed, made me feel so secure, so proud, so accomplished. One day this house will be full of the laughter of my son and my grandchildren, I thought, standing in the empty living room, on the day I got the keys. This is what I worked for. This is my legacy. That was my dream. And for a while, it seemed like that dream was coming true. Time passed. My son married an English woman named Ellie. She was pretty, with blonde hair and a loud, confident laugh. At their wedding, I sat in the front row, wearing the best dress I owned, tears streaming down my face as I watched Michael slip the ring onto her finger. My boy has found happiness, I thought. Now he'll never be alone. They had 2 children, Emma and Jack, my grandchildren. When Emma was born, I held her in my arms and felt a joy so complete I thought my chest might burst. This was it. This was what all the hard work had been for. When Ellie asked if I would move in with them to help look after the children, I didn't hesitate. Of course I will. I would love nothing more. At first, my daughter-in-law Ellie was very sweet. She would hug me when I arrived, offer me tea, ask about my day. "Mum, thank you so much for looking after the kids today," she would say, touching my arm gently. "Honestly, we really couldn't manage without you. You're a lifesaver." Every time she said that, my heart melted. It made me feel needed, important, loved. It made me feel I could do anything for them. So I did everything. I picked the kids up from school every afternoon, rain or shine. I helped Emma with her reading homework, listened to Jack practice his times tables. I prepared dinner, usually something English, because Ellie wrinkled her nose at Korean food, and waited for them to come home. I did the laundry, folding tiny socks and school uniforms. I packed their lunchboxes for the next day, making sure to include the snacks Ellie approved of. I tidied the house, vacuumed the carpets, watered the plants. But at some point, I can't say exactly when, her tone slowly began to change. The requests became instructions. The gratitude became expectations. "Mum, it would be great if you could tidy the kids' room a bit more often. It's getting quite messy. Mum, you really need to clean the bathroom at least every other day. There's limescale building up. Mum, you must separate the washing properly, whites, colors, and towels. You can't mix them up, or everything gets ruined." At first, I just laughed and said, all right, I got it," and let it go. I understood. She wanted things done a certain way. Every household has its own rules, doesn't it? But the instructions kept coming. More and more specific, more and more frequent. "Mum, could you make sure you wipe down the kitchen counters after you cook? There are crumbs everywhere. Mum, when you make the kids' packed lunch, can you use the containers I bought? The plastic ones you're using aren't eco-friendly. Mum, the children's bedtime is 7:30 sharp. Not 735. Not 745. 730. It's strange, isn't it? How slowly something can change until one day you look around and don't recognize your own life anymore. One afternoon, I was sitting in the living room, watching a Korean drama on my tablet, one of the few pleasures I had left. It was mid-afternoon. The children were at school, and I had already finished the morning cleaning. Ellie came home early from work and stopped in the doorway, staring at me. "Mum, could you please watch less TV during the day?" In a house with kids, tidiness has to come first. When guests come over, they see the state of the house. And honestly, it reflects on all of us. I looked around. The house was spotless. I had spent the entire morning scrubbing floors. But I said nothing. I just nodded, turned off my tablet, and went upstairs to fold laundry. That night, lying in my small bedroom, at the back of the house, the room with the broken radiator that no one had bothered to fix, I thought, wait, in this house, do I need permission even to have a little rest? Then, one morning a few weeks later, I missed a step while coming down the stairs. I don't know how it happened. Maybe my knees gave out. Maybe I was just tired, but I fell, tumbling down 3 steps, and landing hard on my left side. The pain in my knee was instant and sharp, like someone had driven a nail through it. At the NHS hospital, after waiting 4 hours in A&E, the doctor examined my knee and said, "Your joints are very worn down, Mrs. Kim. Years of hard work. I imagine you might not need surgery yet, but you must rest for quite a while. No heavy lifting, no climbing stairs multiple times a day. And be especially careful, another fall could be much worse." When I came home, limping and holding a prescription for painkillers, I told Michael and Ellie what the doctor had said. Do you know what Ellie said first? Not, "Are you all right?" Not, "How are you feeling?" She said, "Then who's going to pick the kids up from school? We both work full-time, Mum. You can still push through a bit, right? It's only a 15-minute walk." She was more worried about the school run than my knee. Michael just nodded along, not meeting my eyes. That night, my legs hurt, but my heart hurt more. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. And for the first time, I wondered, am I still a person in this house? Or have I become something else? A tool, a service. It was a rainy Wednesday in late autumn. The kind of day where the sky is so gray it feels like the sun forgot to rise at all. The children were at school, and I was sitting at the kitchen table, cradling a cup of hot tea between my hands, trying to warm my aching joints. My knee was throbbing. I had overdone it the day before, carrying shopping bags back from Tesco, and I just wanted to rest a little before starting on the dinner preparations. That's when I heard them, my son and daughter-in-law, talking in the living room. The door was ajar, and their voices carried clearly down the hallway. Their tone was more serious than usual, clipped, businesslike, the way people sound when they're discussing money. I should have called out, let them know I was there. But something stopped me. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was fear. I stayed silent, frozen in my chair, and listened. Ellie, if you think about the mortgage and the kids' school fees, honestly, our retirement planning has to include Mum's pension, Michael said. His voice was calm, matter of fact, like he was discussing a spreadsheet. I know, Ellie replied. Honestly, Michael, your Mum's pension and the value of this house, they're basically half of our financial plan. When she passes away, we sell the house, pay off our mortgage, and use the rest to buy something bigger. Maybe even a place with a garden. The kids would love that. The moment I heard that, the cup I was holding started shaking in my hand. Tea slopped over the rim, burning my fingers. But I barely felt it. When I die, they'll sell the house. The house I bought with 30 years of my life. And use it to buy their future? My son continued, but we've helped Mum a lot too. Haven't we? We let her live with us. We take care of her. It's better for her to be with us than living alone in some depressing flat. And honestly, without her here, we'd be in real trouble. Childcare costs would eat up half your salary. Then Ellie quietly added one more sentence, almost as an afterthought, exactly. Honestly, Michael, without your mum, our entire life structure would completely fall apart. For a moment, just a brief, flickering moment, a corner of my heart felt slightly warmed. Right, at least they still need me. At least I'm important to them. But then Ellie said something else. Something that made my blood run cold. Childcare. Housework, meals, cleaning, plus the pension money. Plus the house inheritance. Your mum is basically our full package. She's like Plan B. No, actually, she's Plan A and B combined. Plan B. Those two words echoed in my head like a bell tolling. Plan B. I sat there in the kitchen, tea growing cold in front of me. And suddenly everything became crystal clear. In this house that I had bought with my own blood, sweat, and tears, I wasn't really a person. I was a resource, an asset, a line item in someone else's financial plan. My body, free childcare, and housekeeping, my pension supplement. To their income, my house, future inheritance. Already calculated and allocated. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the rain drum against the window, and thought, in this house I bought with a lifetime of hard work, I'm the one who has to tiptoe around the most. My pension, instead of supporting my bad knees and my old age, is propping up their lifestyle. My house, my only security, has become their retirement plan. And for the first time in my life, I asked myself a question I should have asked decades ago. Margaret, when in your entire life have you ever truly lived as yourself? When have you ever done something just for you? The answer was crushing in its simplicity: never. Not once. It was a rainy Wednesday in late autumn. The kind of day where the sky is so gray it feels like the sun forgot to rise at all. The children were at school, and I was sitting at the kitchen table, cradling a cup of hot tea between my hands, trying to warm my aching joints. My knee was throbbing. I had overdone it the day before, carrying shopping bags back from Tesco, and I just wanted to rest a little before starting on the dinner preparations. That's when I heard them, my son and daughter-in-law, talking in the living room. The door was ajar, and their voices carried clearly down the hallway. Their tone was more serious than usual, clipped, businesslike, the way people sound when they're discussing money. I should have called out, let them know I was there. But something stopped me. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was fear. I stayed silent, frozen in my chair, and listened. Ellie, if you think about the mortgage and the kids' school fees, honestly, our retirement planning has to include Mum's pension, Michael said. His voice was calm, matter of fact, like he was discussing a spreadsheet. I know, Ellie replied. Honestly, Michael, your mum's pension and the value of this house, they're basically half of our financial plan. When she passes away, we sell the house, pay off our mortgage, and use the rest to buy something bigger. Maybe even a place with a garden. The kids would love that. The moment I heard that, the cup I was holding started shaking in my hand. Tea slopped over the rim, burning my fingers. But I barely felt it. When I die, they'll sell the house. The house I bought with 30 years of my life. And use it to buy their future? My son continued, but we've helped Mum a lot too. Haven't we? We let her live with us. We take care of her. It's better for her to be with us than living alone in some depressing flat. And honestly, without her here, we'd be in real trouble. Childcare costs would eat up half your salary. Then Ellie quietly added one more sentence, almost as an afterthought, exactly. Honestly, Michael, without your mum, our entire life structure would completely fall apart. For a moment, just a brief, flickering moment, a corner of my heart felt slightly warmed. Right, at least they still need me. At least I'm important to them. But then Ellie said something else. Something that made my blood run cold. Childcare. Housework, meals, cleaning, plus the pension money. Plus the house inheritance. Your mum is basically our full package. She's like Plan B. No, actually, she's Plan A and B combined. Plan B. Those two words echoed in my head like a bell tolling. Plan B. I sat there in the kitchen, tea growing cold in front of me. And suddenly everything became crystal clear. In this house that I had bought with my own blood, sweat, and tears, I wasn't really a person. I was a resource, an asset, a line item in someone else's financial plan. My body free childcare, and housekeeping my pension supplement. To their income my house future inheritance. Already calculated and allocated. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the rain drum against the window, and thought, in this house I bought with a lifetime of hard work, I'm the one who has to tiptoe around the most. My pension, instead of supporting my bad knees and my old age, is propping up their lifestyle. My house, my only security, has become their retirement plan. And for the first time in my life, I asked myself a question I should have asked decades ago. Margaret, when in your entire life have you ever truly lived as yourself? When have you ever done something just for you? The answer was crushing in its simplicity: never. Not once. The following week, on a gray Monday morning, when everyone had left for work and school, I took out my old mobile phone, the cheap one with the cracked screen, that Michael had given me 3 Christmases ago, and dialed a number I hadn't called in months. The phone rang twice before a warm, familiar voice answered. Hello? Joanne, it's me. Margaret. There was a pause. Margaret? Oh my goodness, what's going on? You never call at this hour. Joanne, my friend of 50 years. We had met in the 1970s, at an English language class for immigrants. Both of us struggling with pronunciation and grammar. Both of us so far from home. She had come from Jamaica, I from Korea. Over the decades, we had raised our children side by side, celebrated birthdays and Christmases together, held each other through losses and disappointments. My voice cracked. I swallowed hard and tried again. Joanne, I want to leave London. Silence on the other end. Then, a long, slow sigh. That seemed to carry years of understanding. You finally said it. I think she already knew. She had seen it happening. Seen me slowly disappearing into my role as eternal caretaker. But she had been too kind to say anything until I was ready to hear it. What are you thinking? She asked gently. Where would you go? I don't know. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere I can just breathe. How about the South Coast? Joanne suggested. Eastbourne, or Bognor Regis maybe? They're quiet, there's the sea, and plenty of flats, where older people live alone. My cousin moved to Eastbourne last year, and she loves it. Says she should have done it years ago. The sea. I hadn't seen the sea in years, not properly. Not in a way where I could sit and watch the waves and think my own thoughts. Send me some links, I said. Please, anything you can find. And so, my secret search began. Over the next 2 weeks, Joanne sent me property listings through WhatsApp. Small 1-bedroom flats near the seafront. Places with names like Seagull Court and Marine View Apartments. I studied them late at night on my phone, under the covers like a teenager hiding a secret, zooming in on the photos, trying to imagine myself there. I checked everything obsessively: the rent, the service charges, the distance to the nearest hospital, bus routes, whether there was a Tesco or an Aldi nearby. I made lists. I calculated my pension income against expenses. I researched local communities, looking for places where I might meet other Korean women, other immigrants, other people who understood what it meant to build a life from nothing. After looking at dozens of listings, I stopped on one photo that made my heart skip. It was a simple flat, nothing fancy. White walls, a small balcony with a rusting railing, and through the window, a glimpse of gray sea, stretching to the horizon. This place would be nice, I thought. This place could be mine. But there was a problem. The house. This house in London. My son had always talked about it, as if it were already his. Mum, this house will come to us eventually, right? I mean, even if the papers are in your name. It's all family in the end. We're not worried about it. He would say this casually, while eating dinner or watching television, as if my death and his inheritance were as inevitable and unremarkable as the weather. But he was wrong. The house was still in my name. Only my name. So, on days when Michael and Ellie were at work and the children at school, I took out the title deed, the official document I kept in a locked metal box under my bed, and I called an estate agent. Good morning. I'm calling about potentially selling a property, I said, my voice steadier than I expected. Of course. Are you the owner of the property? Or calling on behalf of someone? I'm the owner. The house is in my name alone. In that case, madam, you can sell entirely at your own discretion. Would you like to schedule a valuation? That one sentence made my chest feel as if something had burst open, not painfully, but like a bird escaping from a cage. Yes, this house is still mine. I can still choose what to do with it. It hasn't been taken from me yet. I scheduled the valuation for the following week. During school hours, that evening, when Michael and Ellie came home, they found me sitting quietly in the kitchen, peeling potatoes for dinner. Mum, why do you look so tired today? Ellie asked, barely glancing up from her phone. It's nothing, I'm just getting older, that's all. That's what I said on the outside. But on the inside, it was completely different. I'm not tired just because I'm old. I'm tired because I can't keep living like this. And I'm not going to. Not anymore. A few days later, on a Sunday evening after dinner, my son came into the living room, where I was sitting, and said, Mum, Ellie and I have been talking. We're thinking of taking the kids to Spain for a week. Maybe Malaga or somewhere along the Costa del Sol. The kids need some sunshine. It's been such a gray winter. And honestly, we could use a proper holiday. We're both exhausted. Spain. It sounded lovely. Warm beaches, bright sun, sangria, laughter. But what came out of my mouth was just one calm sentence. All right, have a wonderful time. I'll be fine here. I actually prefer staying in London. Michael looked relieved. Really? That would be great, Mum. Could you keep an eye on the house while we're gone? You know, water the plants, sign for any deliveries. That sort of thing? Right, I thought. Even when they're gone, I'm still the housekeeper. The guardian. The unpaid caretaker. Of course, I said, smiling. Don't worry about a thing. The morning they left for the airport, the house was chaos, suitcases everywhere. Children running around looking for their favorite toys. Ellie barking instructions at everyone. Michael gave me a quick hug at the door. Thanks, Mum. We'll bring you back some Spanish chocolate. Have a safe flight, I said. And then they were gone. The door closed. The house fell silent. I stood in the middle of the living room, and slowly turned around in a circle, looking at everything with new eyes. The walls I had painted a soft cream color. The carpet I had helped lay down. The furniture I had assembled with my own hands, following confusing IKEA instructions. The curtains I had sewn. The photographs on the mantelpiece, Michael as a baby. Michael's graduation, the grandchildren's school photos. I thought, I can't tell anymore whether this house became a prison, or whether I turned it into one myself, by never saying no. That afternoon, exactly as planned, the estate agent arrived. Joanne came with him for moral support. And to make sure I didn't back out, the agent, a young man in a sharp suit, walked through the house, with a clipboard, taking notes. "The condition is very good," he said. "You've clearly looked after it well. A place like this will sell quickly. Young families love this area now. It's up and coming." A few days later, he called with news. "We have an offer. A young couple, both teachers. They'd love to raise their children here. They said the house feels really warm and welcoming." Warm and welcoming. Yes, I suppose it was. For someone else, this house could be a warm new beginning. For me, it had become something else entirely. "I accept the offer," I said. "Wonderful. I'll start the paperwork immediately." I signed my name on document after document, and my hand trembled slightly each time. But I didn't regret it. Not for a second. When I saw the balance appear in my bank account, a sum larger than I had ever seen in my life, I felt, for the first time, that this was truly money for me. Not money for my son's future. Not money for anyone else. Mine. From then on, the clearing went very quickly. I packed only the essentials: my clothes, family photographs, my important documents, my late husband's pocket watch, a few Korean cookbooks. Everything fit into 2 small suitcases and 1 cardboard box. I sent old dishes, furniture, and clothes to the British Heart Foundation charity shop. The volunteers were grateful. "Are you moving, love?" one of them asked kindly. "Yes," I said. "I'm moving somewhere smaller. Somewhere by the sea." "Oh, how lovely. Good for you." There was only one thing left: to prepare a letter. In the photos Michael sent from Spain, the beach, tapas restaurants, the children building sandcastles, the whole family looked so happy, so carefree. Looking at one particular photo of all of them smiling, under the bright Spanish sun, I whispered quietly to the empty house, "All right. You live happily your way. Now, I'm going to try being happy my way." The letter, the sea, and a new name on the morning they were due to return from Spain. The flight was landing at 3 p. I was already on the train heading south, to my new home. As the train pulled out of Victoria Station, and London slowly receded outside the window, the grey buildings, the crowded streets, the life I had known for decades, a strange lightness grew in one corner of my chest. "Margaret, you're finally becoming free." I watched the city give way to suburbs, then to green countryside, then to glimpses of blue sea in the distance. I ate the sandwich I had packed, drank weak tea from a thermos, and felt lighter with every mile. Meanwhile, back in London, a taxi pulled up outside the house. Michael, Ellie, and the children climbed out, sunburned and tired, dragging suitcases. Michael unlocked the door, and they stepped inside. The house was empty. Completely, utterly empty. No furniture. No curtains. No photographs. Nothing. On the front door, taped at eye level, there was a small white envelope. "To Michael, Ellie, and my dear grandchildren." Michael's hands shook as he tore it open. "Michael, Ellie, and my dear grandchildren. When you walk into the house, you'll see it looks very different. You must be surprised, perhaps even shocked. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you in person, but I knew if I did, you would try to stop me. First, there's something important. I need to tell you this house is no longer our home. I've sold it. The new owners will take possession next week. Right now, as you read this, I'm sitting in a small flat with a view of the sea, drinking tea and watching the waves. I heard everything you said that rainy Wednesday afternoon. Every word. When Mum passes away, we'll sell the house, pay off the mortgage, and her pension is already part of our retirement plan. Mum is our plan B. That's when I realized your mother's old age had become a number inside your financial plan. My body became unpaid labor. My house became your future asset. My pension became your supplemental income. And somewhere along the way, I stopped being Mum and became Mum the resource. The house I bought with 30 years of work, waking at 5 a.m., scrubbing floors until my knees ached, saving every penny to you. It was just a kind of insurance policy. Something to be cashed in eventually. But my life is not anyone's plan. My old age is not anyone's backup strategy. And I refuse to spend whatever time I have left waiting to die so that my death can improve someone else's financial situation. So I've made a decision. The time I have left, 5 years, 10 years, 20 if I'm lucky, I will spend for me. My pension, the money I've saved, the place where I live from now on. They will all be used for your mom's life, not for anyone else's convenience. In case you're worried, let me tell you. Clearly I'm not alone. I have a friend nearby. I have access to healthcare. I have a small balcony where I can grow herbs. I have a community center where I can meet people. I'll be fine. Better than fine, actually. If you really want to be good to me, don't try to bring me back. Don't try to make me feel guilty. Just live well, the two of you together. And raise your children with kindness. From now on, I don't want to live as the maid mom, the care provider, the walking pension plan. I want to live simply as Kim Margaret, a woman who finally, at 73 years old, gets to choose how she spends her days. If you ever think of me, just picture the sea. There, you'll find one old lady walking slowly along the shore, wearing a blue coat, feeding the seagulls and smiling with love, but also with boundaries. Mom. When Michael finished reading, he stood in the empty living room, the letter shaking in his hands. Ellie stood beside him, silent for once, her face pale. She left us, Michael whispered. No, Ellie said quietly. I think we left her first. We just didn't notice. These days, I live in a small flat overlooking the sea in Bognor Regis. It's a simple place, 1 bedroom, a tiny kitchen, a bathroom with a shower. I can actually fit in comfortably. But it's mine. Every inch of it is mine. In the mornings, when I open the curtains, I see the gentle shimmer of the water, the seagulls circling, the dog walkers on the beach below. I make myself a proper Korean breakfast: rice, kimchi, seaweed soup without anyone wrinkling their nose at the smell. I eat slowly, savoring every bite. At lunchtime, I sometimes go to the community center. At the end of the road, there's a group of older women who meet every Tuesday for tea and biscuits. We sit around talking about our lives, our children, our aches and pains, our small triumphs. Some of them are widows like me. Some left difficult situations. We understand each other without having to explain. On Thursdays, there's a Korean cultural group that meets at the library. We make kimbap together, share kimchi recipes, watch Korean dramas on someone's laptop. We laugh until our sides hurt. Last week, one of the women, Mrs. Choi, taught me how to make proper tteokbokki. I haven't had tteokbokki in years. People sometimes ask me, don't you feel lonely living away from your family? I smile and answer honestly. I do feel lonely sometimes. There are days when I wish I could see my grandchildren, hear their laughter, hug them tight. But I also feel comfortable. I feel free. And for the first time in my life, it finally feels like my own life, not an extension of someone else's. Michael calls from time to time. At first, the calls were angry, then guilty. Now, they're just sad. Mom, I'm sorry. We were selfish. We took you for granted. Mom, we didn't mean it the way it sounded. Mom, can't you come and live with us again? The house feels empty without you. When he says that, I answer gently but firmly, son, I've only just begun to live as me, not just as Mom. I don't hate you, and I don't resent you anymore. I've forgiven you, but I also know that the right answer, for both of us, is for each of us to live our own life with dignity. My grandchildren send letters, sometimes wobbly handwriting, drawings of the seaside, Pressed flowers. Grandma, we miss you. Can we come visit your seaside house in the summer? So I write back, yes, my darlings, it would be lovely for you to visit for a day or two. We can walk on the beach and eat ice cream and collect shells. But you can't move into Grandma's house because this is the room of my own that I waited 73 years to have. Everyone, I want to ask you something. Is your pension, your house, your body, your time maybe already being treated as someone else's plan B? Loving your family and giving up your entire life are two very different things. For some people, this story might feel uncomfortable. You might be thinking, how could a mother do that to her children? How could she just leave? Or, isn't it natural for parents to sacrifice for their kids? Isn't that
방금
what
들으신
family
곡은
means?
앰비언트
I used to think that too. Right up until I turned 70. And realized I had nothing left, not my house, not my body. Not even my own time belonged to me anymore. But here's the truth: I learned life is short. Desperately, heartbreakingly short. It's far too short to live only for others. Especially when those others have stopped seeing you as a person. If even a small part of you is thinking, I want to live as myself too, then please, I beg you, don't just let this story pass you by. Take a quiet moment and ask yourself, who is really the owner of my life? Who decides how my days are spent? Who benefits from my existence? And if the answer isn't me, then maybe it's time to make a change. You don't have to leave dramatically like I did. You don't have to sell your house or move to the seaside. But you can start small. You can start saying no. You can start reclaiming your time, your space, your dignity. One small decision at a time. Because you deserve to be more than someone's plan B. You deserve to be the main character in your own
방금
life.
들으신 곡은
Thank you for listening to my story all the way to the end. I truly hope that each of you, wherever you are, whatever your circumstances, can live as the true owner of your own life and be happy. The sea is beautiful today. The sun is setting, painting the sky pink and gold. I think I'll take a walk along the shore before dinner. See you again in the next story. Goodbye for now, and take care of yourselves. Kim Margaret.